we opened our John Deere Harvester Works plant, and the way
Leave that one
farmers
on.
harvested
Shut
would
that.
be forever changed. From horse-drawn grain and corn binders, to the self-propelled combine, to the high-tech combines of today, the Deere legacy endures and continues to thrive into the 21st century. This is because our innovative product development ensures that every product is made with the most important people in mind, the farmers who harvest with our combines. It is our goal to understand the needs of today's farmers and to design solutions that not only meet but exceed their expectations. Once we understand customer needs, John Deere engineers put their individual expertise to work on teams that create a combine that will perform in the demanding conditions our customers are faced with every harvesting season. Throughout each stage of design, virtual testing is done to ensure that even the initial test combines start off at the highest quality. Once initial design is complete, the first physical combines are built by our team and put through rigorous testing.
In the lab, we take the data that we gathered in the field and put it into test stands that are able to more concisely recreate the conditions that we experience worldwide in the field in a shorter period, which allows us to run multiple test cycles to ensure that we've got product quality throughout the design life of the equipment. We'll start off testing with the full-scale system of combines and front-end equipment. We'll gather data to allow us to break those tests down into subsystems and even down to the component level for further life testing.
Once design is complete and all testing fulfills John Deere's standards of excellence, it's time to launch our product in the marketplace and start production. It is our customers' needs that remain top of mind during the manufacturing process and beyond.
Mistake proofing is just one piece of the strategy that we utilize here at the factory to ensure that we keep issues as close to the point of occurrence as possible. We count the number of torques, we count the number of bolts to ensure that every bolt is torqued to the proper torque. We have other type of mistake proofing where we'll scan barcodes to ensure that the correct option is tied. And if that is not correct, it keeps the operator from unknowingly moving an issue down the line. So unknown issues cannot move and get to the customer.
We designed and developed the test track with the concept that we were going to simulate with our test case what the customer's use case would be. The idea is to run the machine through a full set of runoff and ensure that any issues found are contained at the factory. We see this as an investment in our customer and their operation to ensure that during harvest, those machines are running the way they're supposed to be.
Once the combine has run on the test track and all systems have been tested, it goes to the firewall where each and every machine is inspected post-operation, with focus given to top customer needs. It is at this stage that all finishing touches are complete before the combine leaves our facility. The reason for all of this? Expectations, ours and our customers. We set the bar high, and today's farmers do too. We want the people who are feeding the world to be primed for success when the harvest season arrives. And our support doesn't stop here. We have solutions to continue to support our customers and perform reliably in the field. They include the Go Harvest app, JD Link Connect, Go Harvest Premium Combine Simulator, Remote Display Access, Interactive Combine Adjustment. And when our customers need someone who knows his way around a combine, our John Deere dealers are ready to help with parts, service, and then some. He understands how to get them the support they need and is the backbone of a substantial network of resources available for the entire life of a John Deere combine. These resources include the Parts Distribution Network, providing next-day delivery to nearly all dealers in North America. Stellar support that allows customers 24-hour access over 360 days of the year with a support agreement from their dealer. And the Dealer Technical Assistance Center, offering round-the-clock technical support. Customers and quality, that's what drives us.
We live up to the product that John Deere created and the farmers have come to expect.
I spend hours testing in the field to keep the customer running.
I come to work every day to make sure nothing runs like a Deere.
John Deere, our legacy, your future.
So I don't know if you guys have noticed on new combines, new equipment coming in, we have a couple 3 hours on them now.
That's why, because they're run through a test track and some testing and all that sort of stuff. Feedback we got from techs and managers and stuff like that is their testing and pre-delivery inspections and run-up are solving a lot of issues when compared to before, right? So here's the new features on the S-Series for 17.
Today, I'm going to tell you about the updates John Deere has made to the 2017 S-Series combine and front-end equipment. The S-Series model lineup will continue to include model sizes S650 through S690. This year, updates to the overall S-Series machine include upgraded operator comfort and technology to ensure that each hour in short harvest windows maximizes productivity. To begin with, we've added the option for combines to be ordered ready to accept cameras. This means that wiring harnesses are installed at the factory, enabling easy hookup to cameras. These camera locations are off the unloading auger, into the grain tank, and out the back of the machine. The camera can be viewed from inside the cab on the 2630 display, increasing the operator's view of these three positions, and enabling them to more easily maneuver and make time-sensitive harvesting decisions. Next, to increase operator comfort, all S-Series machines that option into a premium cab will come equipped with footrests. This gives operators another location to rest their feet during long harvest hours and reduce fatigue. To improve hands-free communication, the Bluetooth capability has been upgraded. All combines equipped with the premium radio will come with new microphones with higher sensitivity and more noise cancellation. Another update to S-Series models for 2017 is an additional low sidewall or LSW drive tire. This tire provides better traction and flotation than a standard radial equivalent. It also minimizes road hop during transport for improved operator comfort and overall harvest performance. The 2017 S-Series lineup also includes two improved technology features. First, all combines can come equipped with a John Deere Starfire 6000 receiver. The Starfire 6000 brings the value of the new SF3 differential correction signal level, shorter pull-in times, improved pass-to-pass accuracy, and in-season repeatability. Beginning with model year 2017, a 5-year JD-Link subscription is included in base equipment on S-Series combines. This requires the S2P 4G LTE hardware, which is included as base equipment. This allows a differentiated value for customers with John Deere connected support. John Deere also has several updates to the front-end equipment lineup. First, we are introducing the 608 FC to expand the corn head offering to include and load and unload on a wet and viney crops, 600D draper. To round out the updates for 2017 is the addition of a factory-installed reel flip-over feature on the 600D draper cutting platforms. This option reduces crop wrapping in tough, wet, and viney crops, ensuring the highest level of harvesting performance. John Deere Harvester Works continues the commitment to delivering truly distinctive quality to our customers. Our focus is your experience. By equipping the best people with the best tools, training, and processes, we are dedicated to providing customers with the best quality machines. Take a look at the Delivering Distinction and Delivering Results videos found on Deere.com and YouTube to see more details and hear the impact of some recent changes. Look for more to come soon. I'd also like to
So what's the big changes for 17 you guys see? Hey? Bluetooth, yeah.
Sweet footrest.
Yeah. Just to, just for guys that have ordered in new combines for their customers, and if you ordered the camera ready option, it's gonna come pre-wired. Gonna come pre-wired for a camera that wasn't available in our area. So they have a solution for it. I'll show you some slide, some details. It's in your parts thing there. It's just a one camera kit or a 3-camera kit. We order it's through John Deere, but they're Voyager. Problem is, I guess that when they pre-wired these, they used a 5-wire harness for some sort of cameras that they were expecting to use, but we're not using those cameras here, or can't use them here, so they just have an adapter basically for a Voyager camera. So we can't use a cab cam camera, we have to use the more expensive Voyager cameras.
Ricky said no.
Ricky said no what?
We use a cheap camera, $150.
He must have an adapter made.
When did he tell you this?
When I went down and asked him this week,
Yeah, he didn't realize this until I brought it to his attention.
oh great.
Yeah.
So there's no way to order the cameras from the factory to cut directly out?
We've always had Voyagers. I mean,
Yeah, but
they're
for
not bad.
$360 for one camera, the other ones are $150.
Hi, don't shoot the messenger.
I know, I'm just bitching openly
Can't
at John
they,
Deere.
can you just cut the wiring harness and rewire?
You could pull out your wiring harness and run your own wires like we have before.
Slice into it?
Yeah, I'm not sure. This is the fix they give, was to convert the 5-wire to a 4-wire, is you order this Voyager camera with this adapter kit. So all I'm going is by what they told us. We might be able to find a cheaper, better solution when we get one on the ground and figure it out, but right now, that's the info. Just touching back on the 15, 16s, it's with the platform tilt, there's the new handle that you get when you order in the platform tilt. When you order in the hydraulic platform, this is the 4-aft tilt, pardon me. When you order in the hydraulic 4-aft tilt, you get this handle, which has 2 sets of buttons on the back. One button can be used for your 4 and aft tilt. What can your other button be used for? Hey? No. If you have a 600D header, you can actually tilt your 600D header on the fly with that handle. Where before you had to go hit a button on your console, go into your screen, and adjust it on your screen. So here it's at your fingertips. So
But only if you order the tilted feeder.
only if you order the tilted feeder house can you get this handle. Yeah.
It was an option. There is an option for it. Order it in attachments, eh?
Just the handle?
Back plate. So if you ordered that, could you use it for the tilting of the 600?
I'm guessing so. I haven't looked into that. We had that actually asked last
Me and
course
you
we
looked-
did
we
8
looked
years
at
ago,
that.
and I was going to look into it, never did.
Yeah, we're used to that.
Yeah.
But it was cheap. It was like $150 just for that piece on the back.
So then you should have it all ordered up and figured out.
Yeah, sure. I just
God.
order flex
It's all right. I'll do it, Scott.
You got nothing to do.
Yeah, that's right. Anyways, I can't imagine not being available. So, was that in your order code?
It was under like attachments.
Like when you're
Under
ordering a new
configure-
one or through
Yeah.
parts?
No, under attachments.
So you can order, when you order a new one, you can order that without, that different handle without the front tilting faceplate. Is that what you're saying?
Looked like there was an option to order just that back piece in the back of
Okay.
the buttons.
I'm gonna look
So you
into that a
get the
little
2
more.
sets of arrows instead of one then? Like for your up down? Okay.
Yeah, it's on the back side. It's on your back fingers. So there's 2 sets of buttons. One is for the 4-aft feeder house tilt. One is for the 4-aft tilt of a 600D header. We're just wondering that you can just maybe order that handle in so you have fingertip control for just a 600D header. I did find out that I was trying to get that wired in to a MacDon header because they have a 4-aft tilt on their header, on the flex draper, where you have a separate switch in the cab. You put the switch one way, your reel 4 and aft will move your reel in and out. You put the switch the other way, your reel 4 and aft button will it will tilt your header. I was wondering if we could change that up and get your header tilt on the back of that handle, and it sounds like you can. So, just to note here, last thing on the combines, basically, this is for salesmen when they're out helping with customers, calibrations. This is when you need to calibrate, when these things have taken place. The next page here is the factory calibration. It's kind of the hidden tech mode that you had to get into to do these calibrations. Throughout the year, lots of these calibrations have to be done just because things go out of whack and have to recalibrate. I just want to note here, your shroud calibration is now in your user screen. Can everybody tell me what the shroud calibration is?
What's your,
Come on.
Like the calibration above your rotor?
No, that is actually, Leo, your separator vane calibration.
It's on your chopper.
on your chopper, on your pedal?
That's right. Your shroud calibration is on your premium residue chopper, where you have your shrouds that you move in and out for wind compensation and width spreading. Whenever you hit the separator button on your combine, those shrouds give a wipe. So they'll wipe like this to clean things out and go back to your preset position. Same thing as your vane covers. Sometimes when they do this, there's straw that gets caught up in the slides and in the motors. They don't go to your sensors, and they'll give an error. So guys were having to go into this factory tech mode often, and now it's in our user calibration right up front. So they can, if they have that error, they can just go calibrate, and it's done. Thought maybe a guy that worked on a farm that has a couple of these would have known that. Awkward. Okay, next sheet. We're done combines. We're on the headers, where my main part of the day was. I'm going to assume that not everybody knows 100% about everything about a flex draper header, so I'm going to show some videos here. It shows how they perform, what the advantage are. We're going to talk about it quite a bit. Reason being we're focusing on flex draper headers this year is we've sold a few of them in the past, and we've sold quite a pile of them for this year coming up. So going forward, there's going to be a lot more in our trading area, so we need to understand them a little bit more.
John Deere Hydroflex Draper comes in 4 sizes: the 630 FD, 635 FD, 640 FD, and the 645 FD. The John Deere Hydroflex Draper maximizes the S-Series combine performance in both soybeans and small grain. The Hydroflex Draper technology allows you from the cab on the go to change your ground pressure to maximize your cutting performance as conditions change. The John Deere Hydroflex Draper features a shaft-driven dual knife drive system that uses a 4-inch double-cut knife over top of long-life boronized guards. And the skid shoes work in conjunction with the Hydroflex Draper technology to give you optimum ground-following performance. The John Deere Hydroflex Draper offers an optional spare knife that is conveniently stored on the head. The John Deere Hydroflex Draper comes with a polytine reel. The polytine reel has a reel finger robust enough to handle all crops and conditions. On the 630 FD, we also offer an optional steel tine reel specifically for our rice customers. The John Deere Hydroflex Draper features a 42-inch wide side draper belt with 3/4-inch tall cleats. These allow for positive crop conveyance, especially in side hill conditions. The side drapers then convey the crop to the center feed section, which features a 16-inch feed drum with fingers and flighting on the ends of the drum for high volume crops. The John Deere Hydroflex Drapers feature a belt protection system. This system will shut off the side draper belts if slippage is detected. We also offer a top crop auger and a rigid header height sensing feature for small grains. So whether you're cutting high or low, the innovative HydroFlex draper technology will give you a consistent cut at any speed. On behalf of John Deere, we thank you for your business.
In 2012, John Deere introduced the HydroFlex draper to the marketplace. In 2015, John Deere expanded the HydroFlex draper family by offering one with 45-foot length, the 645 FD. With so many HydroFlex drapers in the marketplace today, what makes the John Deere HydroFlex draper unique from the competition? I'm here to explain to you those top 3 reasons on why the John Deere HydroFlex draper gives you the best performance at the lowest cost of operation. When it comes to spending more time harvesting, the 600 series HydroFlex draper is going to offer increased uptime compared to any other HydroFlex draper in the marketplace today through the use of integrated technology features. With the green-on-green solution, the John Deere HydroFlex draper attached to a John Deere combine, all adjustments are made from the operator station in the cab. Some of those adjustments are, as crop conditions may change throughout the day, the operator can easily adjust belt speed or cutter bar pressure from the cab. With platform tilt installed on the combine, you can quickly adjust the cutter bar angle without any additional wiring or components needed. When you are cutting in rigid mode, the operator is able to adjust the header height quickly from the operator's seat. Many competitive flex drapers in the industry today need an attachment frame to mount the header onto a John Deere combine. With that attachment frame, it lacks that integrated technology features. For example, adjusting the belt speed, along with adjusting that header angle, that cutter bar tilt, which requires additional components to be mounted within inside the cab, along with mechanical spring adjustments. Many of these adjustments may require tools. The John Deere HydroFlex draper is going to give you the best performance and ground hauling capabilities compared to any other draper in the marketplace today through HydroFlex technology. Now let's take a look at a ground hauling comparison between the John Deere HydroFlex draper and a competitive draper in the marketplace that doesn't feature HydroFlex technology. HydroFlex technology works by using hydraulic pressure to add to or remove weight from the cutter bar, ensuring the best performance when it comes to continually changing ground conditions. Notice how the HydroFlex technology ensures all the low potted crop is cut and fed into the combine. In order to ensure full flexibility across the cutter bar, the 600 FD features a split belt design. Through extensive testing, we have not encountered any significant loss at this specific point compared to any other place on the header. Lastly, let's talk about header visibility and being able to see the cutter bar and that smooth crop flow coming into the combine. When the 600 series HydroFlex draper is attached to a John Deere combine, it gives the operator a clear vision to the cutter bar with an unobstructed view of the feeding to ensure the operator pushes the header to the combine's full capacity. As you can see, with a competitive draper attached to a John Deere combine, it limits the operator's visibility to that key harvesting function while increasing operator fatigue or stress. The past few minutes, I've demonstrated how the 600 series HydroFlex draper is truly the optimized solution when paired with a John Deere combine. This truly optimized green-on-green solution is going to give you that best performance at the lowest cost of operation compared to any other competitive draper in the marketplace today, while receiving support from your local John Deere dealer. To learn more about the 600 series HydroFlex draper, visit johndeere.com or your local John Deere.
So Scott, does that mean you can order it without the 4.5 tilt?
Yeah, just an option code, $200. It looks like then you could order it, enables a 600D header platform tilt operation integrated in the hydro.
So where it says they're included with the platform, so when you order the platform tilt, it automatically comes, but you can order it separately besides.
Yeah, you could, if you ordered those,
So it's the buttons on the back, there's those two
Yeah.
sets of buttons on the back.
So that's all it takes to make the D
then as you go, you can just use, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you
Like that
Order
should be
to
just,
tilt
well,
it
that
or
should be
something.
standard equipment again,
Yeah.
right? Because it's a pain in the ass to adjust the D header, right?
And that runs the third one.
You guys should order that in on all your, because that's, your guys all run Ds, eh? Wait,
Mm-hmm.
anybody that runs a D header,
who would we contact to confirm that that would be that?
I would phone Brad probably ask him.
Right, Frederick? Yeah.
I'll find out, fuck you guys.
Phone your brother Ben.
Yeah. So one thing I want to touch on, our flex draper header, sorry about that. Our flex draper header, if you are flat on the ground doing Ps and need to scrape something off the ground, our flex draper header does a pretty darn good job, especially when you have a front tilting faceplate so you can tilt your angle of your guards. If you're in big rolling hills where you're not really concerned about that inch off the ground, but you want to cut, 2, 3, 4 inches off the ground, but you still want to contour through some big hills, actually our Macdon header is a good option for that, or Macdon Flex. It's a different, the cutter bars are rigid on it, but it's in 3 sections, so it's like just 3 smaller rigid sections is what it is. So it doesn't follow that video is definitely shows the advantage of the John Deere, but it really doesn't show real life situations all the time. I guess what I'm saying, we sell both Macdon and John Deere headers, and each of them have their place in my mind. It totally depends on what the customer wants and needs. Because the front tilting faceplate in my mind is so important for our flex draper header, some guys that don't have that option are going the Macdon way, just because they do have a tilting capability right on their header. So if you guys ever want to, have a customer that's debating between the two or wants to know the options between the two and you're not quite sure, by all means, give me a call and we can help fumble our way through it. This next here is going to be a header walk around. We're actually going to do the same thing outside, hands on, but this is going to show you just a few quick things here.
We're on the end of the reel on a flex draper, and there is a zerk just like on all the other platforms. There's a zerk on the end of the reel on both sides. These will be the only zerks on a 635. On a 640, there's also a reel zerk in the middle, and we'll show you that later. Now I'm at the center of the reel on a 40-foot draper. The 35-foot draper will not have this zerk. However, right in the very center, right next to the middle bearing, there is a zerk, and it's located right here. Here's the outer shaft that runs from the upper gear knife drive gearbox to the lower knife drive gearbox. There's a grease zerk on here that needs to be greased every 50 hours, and it's on just the slide. As your cutter bar flexes, this shaft will move in and out, so that needs to be greased every 50 hours.
Tell you about the maintenance on your knife drive. There really isn't a whole lot to do. If your serial number is above 745-101, this is greased for life. There is nothing you need to do. There is 2 plugs in here. Leave them alone. That is for service use only. If you are below 745-100, this one you will not grease. There's one up here that is greased every 200 hours, and that is 10 pumps of grease. And it just uses the standard polyurea grease.
Now I'm looking at the slip clutch for my knife drive. I need to open the quick pin and slide the cover out of the way. And in this location, I will have a grease zerk for the slip clutch. I want to hit that about every 200 hours. There are 2 zerks. Only greasing one is sufficient because it's just to make it easier to access it. So if the shaft is rotated 180 degrees, you can still get to it. But I just need to slide the cover out of the way and grease this about every 200 hours. Okay, now what we're looking at is the slip clutch on the inner power shaft. And if I pull this rubber boot back, there's a slip clutch, a radial pin slip clutch in behind here. And every 200 hours, I need to grease that zerk on that slip clutch. Okay, this is the main gear case coming off the main power shaft. There's a check plug right here. I need to check this plug for oil, and it should be just at the bottom of the plug hole. I use 80-90 weight or 85-140 gear lube in here. And again, the check plug is located right here. Okay, this is our inner gear case drain or check plug. This is where we check the gear lube level in this inner gear case. It is 80-90 weight oil, and you need to check it every 200 hours. This is the upper knife drive gear case on the end of a flex draper. On that gear case, there is a dipstick located in this right here. And this gear case takes 80-90 weight oil, and you need to check that approximately once a season. And again, 80-90 weight or 85-140 oil goes in this gear case. Okay, now we're on the outer portion on the rear of a flex draper, and this is my belt tension indicator. I need to have my belt tension to where the needle is right in the center of the points, and maybe err just a hair to the inside of the platform. If I do happen to see my belt slipping or the combine warns me that they are, I don't want to get real aggressive here, because over tightening this adjustment can cause some belt tracking issues. It can cause some belt damage. So we want to make sure that that needle is right in the center of the points and maybe err just a little bit to the inside of the platform. I'm out on the end of the platform with the service door open. This bolt head right here is how I adjust my belt tension. I want to turn it clockwise to tighten the belt and counterclockwise to loosen the belt. Probably should be checked daily with the indicator, but again, I don't want to get over aggressive with this. Over tightening can cause some belt tracking and belt damage. But if I am getting a warning that my belts are slipping, then this is the bolt that I adjust. All right, now we're looking at our belt drive motors, and here is the check plug for those. This is 80-90 weight oil, and every 200 hours you need to check and top off with 80-90 weight oil if necessary. Okay, now we're looking at the zerk underneath our pivot arms. There's 4 of these across the bottom of the platform, and those are 200 hour zerks.
Brad, that belt tensioner, is that running or not running when you check that?
Not running. Don't know if it moves or not when you start it up, to be honest. Yeah, I've never heard of it being checked when it's running anyways. We're gonna actually go through that, just walk around. That's the biggest thing we're doing out there is walk around, just pointing out a few things. I'm gonna tell you how it flexes and stuff like that, and how our height sensors work. Another little video just on basically a rigid lockup and some few things here.
2015 model 600 series flex drapers, we have a tool now for helping clean out certain areas of the header around the belts. Now I'd want to double check for bulges or material that may have gotten caught under the belts at the rollers at any one of these locations of the rollers area, or if crop material is caught in this area. Deere provides a tool now to help clean out some of that debris. If it was stuck in this area back here, you can hook it and pull it out, or if you get material under the front seal of the belt, you can easily pull that material out with this new tool. During your daily service or anytime we want to get under the header, please remember to put the feeder house safety stop down. The center belt or the feed belt tension is maintained by keeping it flush with the edge of the header frame, the center draper belt frame right here. If it starts to stick out a little bit past flush, then we need to tension our belt tighter. During the harvest day, if you ingest some dirt and have some troubles with the center feed belt getting debris or dirt under it, there is a quick way to open this door, and that's simply by taking this bolt left and right sides out, and this door will swing down. For preparing this header for harvest, I'd encourage you to lock up with the flex lockouts, the brackets, that you see here on each stabilizer arm, this bolt has this end cap, and there's one on the left and one on the right side of each stabilizer, and by taking this nut off, you can pull out the flex lock. But for wheat, we would encourage you to have it in to take pressure off the HydroFlex system. And as you can see, this one here is set for wheat. This header is equipped with off-ground header height sensing, and I want to make sure that you understand where to store the lockout clip as we come out of fall harvest and put the off-the-ground height sensors down. This is a quick storage pin location. If we were to put it back in this location and we went to set it on a trailer or set it on the ground, that pin is going to hit the original lockout. On the center feed draper belt and the drive system, we have an oil level to maintain on the gear case. As you can see, simple 80-90 weight oil, maintaining the oil level.
Okay, we're going to discuss the difference between rigid mode and flex mode. We're going to go through that out there a little bit. Where do I want to start? So, in rigid mode, with these headers, the cutter bar pressure is set at maximum. So, on our support arms underneath, there's hydraulic cylinders in there. You set your pressure to maximum, which is about 3,000 PSI. Those cylinders extend, and your cutter bar is pushed up, and it comes up level and rigid. And it comes up as high as it can physically go. Pressure is locked in at 3,000, and it keeps that rigid. Now, if you were going to stay in rigid mode for days on end and not go into flex mode, there's those rigid locks that they talked about. They can be put in. I actually take them out and leave them out because when I run my headers, I switch between rigid and flex on a, in each pass. Sometimes I'll switch between rigid and flex, just depending on the condition we have. But so when you're in rigid mode, you have to check your. This is for you salesmen really. When you're troubleshooting a guy that can't calibrate his header, when you're in rigid mode, you're worried about the 3 auxiliary sensors underneath, right? Your shoes that hang down. Those sensors have to be ranging between 0.5 and 4.5. If they are out of those voltage ranges, you'll get an error when you go to calibrate. How many of you have been calibrating and you see an error that says voltage range less than 1.2? You guys ever seen that? What did you, when you first read that, what did you naturally think?
That you gotta move the sensor.
That's your, no, okay. When most guys read that, they'll say, geez, my low voltage is not less than 1.2. That isn't what it's saying. It says your voltage range. So it means you're spanning from your low setting to your high setting is less than 1.2 volts. That sensor has to travel at least 1.2 volts. That's a very common phone call I get is the guys are misreading that. Honestly, really read that error that it's giving you, and it'll tell you exactly what it is. So your voltage of those sensors, and even our flex sensors, can't be below 0.5, can't be above 4.5 volts, and in there, it has to move at least 1.2 volts from low to high. So a normal setting is probably 1.1, 1.2 voltage on the low side, and 3.6 or 3.8 on the high side. It's above the 0.5, below the 4.5, and it still spans 1.2 at least, so it'll accept that calibration. When you're only in rigid mode and our combine is in non-hybrid mode, which how it comes out of factory, you have 2 different height settings when you're in rigid mode. Your number 2 button can be one height setting. You can adjust with your AHC dial, your automatic height control. and your number 3 button on your hydro handle can be a different setting. So your number 1 is always your feeder house position. It runs off your feeder house position. You set it for your turnaround height. You come to the end of the field, you hit your number 1 button, header raises up, and you hit your number 2 button, goes down into your preset height, and your number 3 button can be a different preset height. Same in flex mode. The number 2 and 3 button are 2 different pressure settings. But number 2 and number 3 do the same thing, just different settings. I'll get into the flex mode now. Your rigid locks obviously must be removed. Those are those locks they showed in that last video. I'll show them out here for you. The cutter bar pressure drops. You adjust it down. It runs between 1,000 and 1,700 PSI. That allows your cutter bar to be flexible on the ground. And the height sensors that you use are the 4 height sensors that run off of a sensing rod at the back of your header. And I'll show you that outside. So those 3 sensors underneath, the shoes that hang down, those are for rigid mode. The 4 sensors at the back of the header are for flex mode. So when you're in flex mode, here's a question for you. Salesman, Leo, anybody? When you're in flex mode, how do you adjust the height? Can you adjust the height when you're in flex mode? Can you adjust the height of your cutter bar when you're in flex mode?
If you tilt it technically.
Yeah, that's actually the only reason. That's good. I was not even going to expect that answer. But yeah, you can change your height a little bit. Yeah. You can change your height of your cutter bar by your tilt. But generally, if you're leaving your tilt the same, you don't adjust the height of your cutting height when you're in flex mode. Because for you to run in flex mode, your cutter bar has to ride, or your skid shoes have to ride on the ground. So you can only go down to the ground. That's as far as it can go. It needs the feedback from the ground. So I get questions. Guys are in flex mode and they want to cut off the ground or want to cut higher. You can't. When you're in flex mode, you're cutting on the ground. That's the idea of flex.
So there's really no sense to having the 2 different on your 2 and 3.
Yeah, the only difference is you can have 2 different pressures there, Trent. So when you're in, here's a situation. Let's say you're in hard ground, a good stubble field, hard ground. You can have lots of ground pressure. Say you're going to run it at 1,000, 1,100 PSI, number 2 setting, let's say, and you're going to go through you got a bunch of braking patches in your field that are soft, and you want that to lighten up on its feet. You want not as much ground pressure, so you'll dial your pressure up to 1,700. You can set your number 3 button for 1,700. So then when you go back into those conditions, you can just switch between number 2 and 3. So yeah, when you are just in flex mode, you can run your number 2 and number 3 for 2 different pressures. When you're just in rigid mode, you can run your 2 and number 3 for 2 different heights. Okay? I actually don't use that. I usually run hybrid mode. Do you know what hybrid mode is, Brian? No. It is the combination of both. So you have to adjust. Right here. You have to adjust in an address. That's why I printed this stuff out, so you guys have this stuff. In an S series, you go into LC1 130. So it's your LC1 controller, line 130. Your 3rd digit from the left, where the letter N is there, you will change that to a number 1. Okay? Now you've put your combine in hybrid mode. You need to recalibrate your header. So you'll go through into your header calibration. Go through your header calibration. It'll go through the flex calibration and the rigid calibration all in one calibration. So what that allows you to do is your number 2 button on your hydro handle is in rigid mode. You can adjust your height. So number 2, you push your number 2, your header will go down. You can use your AHC button to adjust your height wherever you want. Your cutter bar is pressured up to 3,000 PSI because you're rigid. Hit your number 3 button, your pressure will drop, and you can adjust your pressure with your AHC button to whatever pressure you want, and it'll save that pressure setting there for you. So I use that lots when you're in the field, when you have really nice standing wheat. Hit your number 2 button, header pressure's up, cutter bar pressure's up, comes up off the ground. It's using those 3 sensors underneath for height sensing. You get into a lodge spot, like we were down south, lots of lodge this year.
That's what you were doing up there, right?
Yeah, lots of lodge down there. You hit your number 3 button, your pressure would drop on your cutter bar, and it drops down on the ground, follows along like a loosey-goosey, and you're picking up the flat stuff off the ground. Go ahead, Scott.
Is there any way to deactivate that number 1 so that it can do some kind of a resume for height sensing? Let's say you're in hybrid mode, I want 2 height senses, and I want my 3 to be a flex.
I don't think so.
And then at the end of the field, I'll just lift
You know
it with
what?
the button.
You know what, Scotty? I've never tried. Probably you can. I've never tried just shutting off. So you go into your header options and shut off your feeder house resume position. It'd be your top left check mark.
You know what I'm saying? And
Yep.
sometimes it's nice to have 2 heights when
Yep.
you're rigid.
Yep.
And at the end of the field, I can just push the button and
I
lift
just
it
don't
up.
know
3 would be
exactly
nice.
what that's going to give you 2 of. It's going to give you 2 of one of them. It's probably going to give you 2 of height sensing. So yeah, probably could.
You could probably just shut that off and then have all 3 buttons do
Shut off your feeder house resume button, and the number 1 button is going to give you some functionality. I'm not exactly sure which. Yeah, it's something we just have to play with. You can find out. I'll find out in 10 seconds when I'm out there. Because I start up the combine.
I just noticed one day we were doing something. I was like, you guys get greedy. It's like, oh fuck, it'd be nice to have 4 buttons now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you're one at the end, and then it's nice to have 2 different heights and a flex.
One thing is when also in any of these modes, number 1, 2, and 3, you can save your reel position. Okay, so scenario, you're cutting off ground, 6 inches above the ground, rigid mode. You want your reel 1.5 feet above the cutter bar, 4 1/2 in a certain position. You've got it set where you want it, kind of your home position. You just hold your number 2 button for 3 seconds. The reel symbol will flash on your corner post, and that position for number 2 button will be saved. Also, when you have the 4 1/2 feeder house tilt, same thing. It'll save that. Once you hold that button for 2 seconds or 3 seconds, it'll save that position also. So when I was going back and forth between 1, 2, and 3, which is, turnaround height, rigid height, and flex mode, I had my feeder house tilt in different positions for each scenario. So it just goes back to its home position, right? So you don't have to, when you're in your number 2 mode, rigid mode, kind of got it tilted back, nice and flat, no header loss, no shatter loss. You want to go down into flex mode, it'll go into flex mode, and I would have it tilt ahead like 6 or 8 degrees. So it does that automatically.
Once you change that address too, you don't have to send it or change it back to run just a straight draper, do you?
No, because it doesn't. That address change doesn't affect a D header.
So it can, if you're down on a flex header, just leave it once it's been changed.
Yeah, you betcha.
It's not causing any codes or grease down the road.
Nope, not at all. Not at all. This here, just some info for you. If you're in firm ground, 1,000 PSI on your gauge there for flex mode, you're heavy on the ground. The higher you dial up that pressure, it lightens up your header on the ground. So if you're in soft ground, rocky conditions, you want to dial up that pressure up to the top end of 1,700, and it'll float over things a lot better. I'm not going to get into where you get voltage readings because we got some slides here that talk about it, and calibrations. I'm not going to get into that. So there's for the S series, 70 series, and the 5060 series. You can run hybrid mode for all that. And we had a comment the other day, the first session, that Tom Jackson's having an issue here running hybrid mode on his flex header. And I have no idea why he would be. Remind me come summertime, we'll get him going on his, because he has just a flex auger header, right?
No, use them.
techs here said that they couldn't get it to run in flex mode, in hybrid mode. Only rigid or flex, not hybrid. I don't know.
And the flavor of the day.
Come on, Scott. You're on video, buddy. Does everybody know when you're out with a customer and you're having calibration issues? Have I walked everybody through this on the phone at one time or another, how to find, or you guys figured out yourself how to find voltages, whether it's a draper header or a flex draper or a flex? Okay, on an S-Series, go into this screen here, hit your maintenance button, your wrench button, your tech button, whatever it is, and it'll come to this screen. You hit this button here, your diagnostic readings will come up. So, the top screen there shows a 600 FD in that drop down. So that is going to give me the 4 sensor readings that are used for flex mode. That's the 4 sensors at the back of your header. If you go into the drop-down menu of 600 FD as a rigid, it's going to give you your 3 auxiliary sensor readings. So this is where you get into your 2 different types of readings here. So if you're in a 600 FD drop-down menu, which is your 600 FD in flex mode, go to page 5. There's your 4 sensor readings. Left height, left center height, right center height, and right height, and then your cutter bar flex voltage readings. So these are the values here that have to be above 0.5 and below 4.5, and they have to range at least 1.2 volts from bottom to top. If you're in rigid mode and wanted to look at your, if you wanted to look at your 3 sensors underneath, your rigid sensors, your auxiliary sensors, you just pick your different drop down and you go into those. Easy peasy. Recording stop height. What's this do, fellas? What's your recording stop height? Turn on and off. Documentation. Documentation, yield monitor, moisture meter, mapping, right, which is documentation. So,
This one's really common, actually, that process.
oh God, yeah.
Processing grain.
Yeah, so you guys, yeah, every customer has processing grain while not recording. So the yield monitor is picking up grain, but you're not documenting, you're not recording, so it's giving you an error. So what would a guy go to do to change this? Yeah, just change your stop height. So what you do is you figure out where your number 1 button is set for your turnaround height. You figure out where your number 2 setting button is for your first working height, and manually raise it up a foot or 2 above that. Go into this screen, your header screen, the letter E, and hit that record stop height button, and it will save that position of your feeder house to turn your stop height on and off. So when you raise up through that point, it will stop your documentation. When you go back down through that position, it'll turn it back on. Is this stop height going to be the same for if you have a straight cut header on compared to a pickup header? Generally not. The most common, or one of the most common phone calls is the guy's got his straight cut header on, goes to switch to his pickup, he gets that error, recording grain, processing grain, and not recording. It's because your feeder house position changes dramatically from when you have a straight cut header on to when you have a pickup on. So that, a salesman, a tech, me, everybody needs to know that like the back of their hand, because that's a common error. Common issue, I should say. I'm glad everybody is very fluent in that. We're just going to go quickly through the 600 FD sensor locations. Down here is where you can, if you were into your addresses and into your LC1, and you can find each of those voltages for each of those sensors. Keep this handy, guys. Don't go off the internet or the one that you got off the internet, because there was two big errors down here. They had two different addresses wrong. And in our service advisor, they had the right stuff. I figured it out through wiring diagrams. But when they put this out on their little, this little card here, this little quick reference guide, it's actually wrong. So don't go by that. This is gospel here. So AC and I, the sensors up top, what do we call those sensors? What are they used for?
Rigid.
That's right. There are auxiliary sensors, there are rigid sensors, right? They're the ones that hang down. They're these guys right here that hang down underneath. The main flex sensors that run off of a rod, a sensor rod at the back, and we'll show those, are B, E, G, and J. Okay? Those sensors over here are listed, what each of them are. These are the new sensor numbers. There's old sensor numbers that we still have in stock. We only have one of these new ones in our repertoire now. But Rick tells me, and he's going to talk about them a little more, these are the new sensors we need to be using because they're more durable, better sensors. These are the sum-ups to these. He's going to explain that a little bit more. Another common thing we've run into, it's not so much for you guys, well it is for parts I guess, even from factory. So these four sensors in the back and those three sensors at the front, when you're down, when your header's down on the ground, all 7 of them should be reading a low voltage, okay? When you're lifted up, they should be reading at the high end. We've had from factory and we've had from sensor changeouts, we'll have wrong sensors on here where they're spanning the opposite direction. So one's a left twist, one's a right twist basically. And I've seen it right from factory, I've seen it out of our parts department. They look identical, there might be only a couple part numbers the same or different, but they do the exact opposite thing. So we've ran into that a couple times this year, ran into it 5 or 6 times last year. We've run into it about 3 times on new units. So just so you know, there's a little bit of an issue there. So just all I'm saying is be very careful when you're handing out these sensors. Don't necessarily, I guess what's happening probably is a farmer will know it's a sensor issue. They'll bring that sensor into you and you'll match up the part number, or it'll sub up to something. And more than likely the reason, or not more than likely, but possibly the reason why that sensor wasn't working for him, because it was spanning the wrong direction. It was the wrong one to begin with. You're just giving him a new sensor that's spanning the wrong way. So we need to go into our parts and figure out exactly what sensor it is and make sure that's correct. We've got a few issues with these, to be honest. This auxiliary header height control sensor, I forgot about it, learned it the other day, now I remember it. These sensors, when they come from factory and how we PDI them, this shoe here is pushed right up tight, embedded in there, so that's nice and short. That's how we send them out to our customers. Probably give you 10, 12 inches off the ground. You can loosen these